Universal's Halloween Horror Nights has a problem so big that not only has it harmed the customer experience and may continue to for years to come, but it has also cost Universal millions of dollars in revenue. Now, if you've been to the event in the last few years, this problem is extremely recognizable. That problem being overcrowding. The event as it stands today just simply does not have the operational capacity to handle the amount of guests coming in on a nightly basis. Of course, as you can probably guess, this comes at an extreme detriment to the consumer, as not only are guests faced with crowded pathways that are generally unpleasant and uncomfortable to walk through, but in these pathways are also scare zones, not only crowding the paths further with scare actors, but there's a good chance you could walk through some of these scare zones and not see a single scare actor nonetheless get scared a single time. But then of course with overcrowding also comes long lines for the attractions. The attractions of Halloween Horror Nights being the haunted houses. As the event currently stands, if you walked straight in, only with your admission ticket, didn't buy anything else, and only went straight to the houses, didn't stop and do anything else, didn't get food, didn't go see a show, nothing, your best bet would probably be to get about half, maybe a little bit more of the houses done in a single night. That's how bad it's gotten. If you're not paying up for Stay and Scream, which allows you to stay in Universal Studios Florida after the park is closed and before Halloween Horror Nights opens, getting ahead of the crowds, or paying for Express Pass, or going multiple nights to the event, you are out of luck. You're not even getting remotely close to getting everything done. Halloween Horror Nights has become a theme park where the wait times are so bad that your only chance on getting on every single attraction is to pony up for the skip the line pass. That's right, Universal has a Disney World problem, albeit localized at Halloween Horror Nights. Though, luckily for us, unlike Disney, who has no interest at all in fixing their capacity problem, there actually is extreme incentive for Universal to fix this overcrowding issue. Now, you may be saying, how is that possible? Obviously, Universal is raking from people who are spending money on Stay and Scream, Express Passes, and multiple event nights. If they improved the capacity and lowered wait times and lowered crowding, there wouldn't be as much of an incentive for guests to pay for those things, thus hurting Universal's bottom line. But that's the thing, folks. Though this is true, Universal is losing out on more money in other ways currently that if they address the capacity issue, they could recoup and gain and grow in the future. For one, obviously, overcrowding hurts the guest experience. And for many people, yes, that's incentivizing them to pay for another event night ticket and go again. But for a lot of people, that's the last straw. And they're saying, hey, that was a waste of my money. That was a waste of my time. I'm not coming back to this because I know I'm just only going to get on a couple of houses and I'm just going to be waiting in line for 90% of the time I'm there. So for a lot of people, though, yeah, they might get some people who will become return visitors because they didn't get everything done, but a lot of people are also never going to return because they couldn't get everything done. Now that's the thing. If it was just a case where it's like, oh, they mismanaged their time, they couldn't get everything done, that'd be one thing. But the fact that the event is so overcrowded to the point where you could be the sweatiest of all sweats and literally like teleport to the houses across the map and still not be able to get all of them done in one night, the fact that it's not even an option, it's not even possible unless you pay more money, that is what's going to send a lot of people away, and already has almost certainly. Not to mention, if people are spending 90% of their time or more waiting in line at this event, and that's pretty much all they're doing, guess what? That's less time that they have to go and buy food, to go and buy merchandise. Many people are almost certainly foregoing these opportunities simply because they know they won't have the time to do it. And as we know, food and merchandise are two of the most profitable revenue streams that theme parks have. The profit margins on them are absurd. However, I will say it is a balancing act, because if you cut the lines too low and give people too much time in the rest of the park, all of a sudden people don't have any sort of need to buy Express Pass. So really what you want to lower the wait times enough to where, yeah, you're going to lose some express business, but you're going to gain a lot more in food and merchandise business. But here's the thing, folks. Those 2 points I just mentioned for Universal to get rid of overcrowding, well, they're kind of minor points, really. The one big one is the fact that Universal actually believes that this event has room to grow. And the fact of the matter is, the way that the event currently operates, it has no room to grow. Not only are we already dealing with an overcrowding problem where clearly the event's popularity is too big for its britches, but also we tend to get several nights a year where the event will straight up sell out, even if Universal wanted to admit more guests to the park, simply just because of safety reasons. They literally cannot. Now, how do we know that Universal actually believes that there's room to grow here? Well, all you have to do is just look at where they're spending their money. They're spending a ton of money on advertising to bring new people into the event. They're spending money to license these big name properties to have houses of them at the event that clearly are made to bring in fans of those properties who maybe currently are either not familiar with Halloween Horror Nights or have never been before. And really, the biggest indicator of them all is this new attraction that they are making in Las Vegas. This is going to be a small scale attraction, maybe just a couple of houses at best, that though can generate profit on its own. Its main objective is to give people a taste of what Halloween Horror Nights has to offer and say, hey, you like that? We got the full entree in Orlando and Hollywood. So clearly, Universal is spending a ton of money to get new people to come to the event, despite the fact that the event has no capacity to accept new people. So if nothing's done to increase the capacity of the event, Universal is going to be out millions of dollars, not only in potential revenue, but also in marketing costs that ultimately will not lead to increased attendance. Now, I think Universal already knows this. I think they already understand it. I think that they're already working on something to address this issue. The question then becomes, what is the solution? Because there are many different ways to tackle this issue. One could be to just simply increase the capacity at Universal Studios Florida, add in a couple more houses, maybe add a scare zone in. The problem is, though, that Universal Studios Florida is a relatively small park given the amount of people who are coming to this event. And if you're expecting growth, you're still going to have a ton of crowding in the pathways if you keep the event at Universal Studios Florida. So to be honest, I just don't really see this as a feasible option in the long term. Which means really, Halloween Horror Nights has two options: expand or move. Expansion would mean rolling Islands of Adventure into the event, making it a 2-park event. This would not only significantly spread out the crowds with more than double the path space now available to you, but it also makes it easy to add new houses, as you wouldn't have to build new tents or build new buildings like you would at Universal Studios Florida if you were trying to expand there. Whereas at Islands of Adventure, they've hosted Halloween Horror Nights at Islands of Adventure back in the early 2000s. So there actually is plenty of infrastructure in place that they can already reuse. For instance, there's this warehouse behind Marvel Superhero Island that's currently used for storage. You can move that somewhere else, move it to a temporary offsite location, move it to Epic Universe, and use that building once again for a house. Poseidon's Fury's queue was once used for a house. Well, now the whole attraction is closed, so that's open season. And even Popeye's extended queue had been used for a house in the past. So not only would expanding Islands of Adventure thin out the crowds, but it would also create easy opportunities to increase your house capacity. I think likely what would happen if we were to see this come to fruition would be 6 to 7 houses in each park, with 3 to 4 scare zones in each, and likely a show in each. The Toon Lagoon Theater at Islands of Adventure is wide open and ready to accept a new show for Halloween Horror Nights, which could once again help with the capacity. Now, there are some drawbacks with this option. Of course, getting guests in between the parks through the backstage areas is a little bit tricky, and also it wouldn't be particularly cheap to operate both parks during the event. There's also the concern that maybe you're adding too much pathway to this event, right? Maybe the crowds are too spread out, maybe they're too thin, and then you have a lot of areas of the park that are just completely dead, completely empty, and that could kind of cause some issues of making people walk too far to get between attractions. And as we know, even as Halloween Horror Nights operates today, walking can be an extreme issue, as some of these houses are way back in the backstage areas and require a mile walk there and back. But then that brings me to the second option, and that is to move. Of course, as you know, Universal is building a brand new theme park, Epic Universe, about 2 miles down the road from where the existing parks currently reside. And supposedly, this park is going to be about the same size as Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios Florida combined. So it would give you a similar amount of space as it would expanding the event to include Islands of Adventure. But the benefit here is twofold. Not only do you already have a land that's themed, to kind of a horror aspect in Universal Monsters that could easily be, brought into the event, but since you're building on essentially a blank canvas, this would allow Universal to incorporate Halloween Horror Nights tents and houses into spaces where they're not logistically unreasonable, where they're not being used by something else at other parts of the year, right? These could be exclusive homes to Halloween Horror Nights houses, allowing Universal to have all year round to work in those buildings to build new houses. This could allow Universal to build way more elaborate houses than we've ever seen before. It really does seem like kind of a no-brainer to move it to Epic Universe if they were to actually incorporate Halloween Horror Nights into the building process of that park. I would imagine if this were to happen, that the event would likely have 5 to 6 scare zones and probably somewhere between 12 to 14 houses, depending on just how popular Universal thinks the event's going to be, especially considering that this wouldn't likely happen until the earliest 2026. I mean, certainly if the park's supposed to open in the summer 2025, they're not going to have Halloween Horror Nights held there that fall. Of course not. So the absolute earliest Halloween Horror Nights would move there would be the fall of 2026, and even that might still be a little bit early. So if this is the option that Universal is going with, though it could result in long-term greatness for Halloween Horror Nights, it would result in short-term pain because you'd be stuck at Universal Studios Florida with the event more or less the same way that it is today for the next few years. So yes, Halloween Horror Nights is facing a serious dilemma, but luckily, Universal is willing to do something about it. And with 2 really solid options to increase capacity for the event, it seems that Halloween Horror Nights should be on the path to greatness, assuming that Universal does indeed go forward with their plans to see it through, that Universal's Halloween Horror Nights continues to grow and continues to get more popular as the years go on. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think that Halloween Horror Nights does need to see change in order for it to actually grow and be successful down the line and be an actually good guest experience? Do you think that Halloween Horror Nights should move to Epic Universe, or should they expand it Islands of Adventure? Or maybe is there a third option that I didn't even consider that maybe Universal should look into? Let me know. Love to hear what you have to say, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.